Dracula. This story is in the year 1930. Jack, along with his two brothers, Harry and Kevin, comes to Salem, which the small town that their grandmother lives in, for Christmas. One afternoon, the three were sitting in Grandma's house when Harry spoke up.
Come on, guys, let's go somewhere. Do something. This afternoon is so boring.
Yeah, man. Great idea. Let's go.
No, dude. I don't want to go. You both go. Jack, bro, Julie is coming to meet us. I talked with her this morning, but no problem if you don't want to come.
Julie's coming? Then I'm game.
Harry and Kevin look at each other and laugh. Then they all go to meet Julie. Julie is his childhood friend, and Jack and Julie like each other very much.
Hi, Julie. How are you?
I'm good. How about you? They are talking and wandering around the whole town. There's a cemetery a little closer to the forest, near where Jack spies a dilapidated, abandoned home.
Julie, tomorrow come meet me here in the evening. Seems like no one comes here, which would be great, because then we could hang out.
Julie smiles and says yes to Jack's invitation. The next evening, Jack and Julie return to the decrepit house to spend time together.
No one will disturb us here. This place is a wreck, and we can talk for hours and not disturb anybody.
Have you heard what folks say about this house? I heard that it's Dracula's home. 100 years ago, the terror of bats in this town had increased. Everywhere the bats kept flying and scratching and hurting people every day. One day, a man named Victor was returning to his home when he sees a black cat with blood-red eyes. Upon beholding this sight, he was struck with fear.
What an evil-looking creature. Looks nothing short of a pure, vile, evil, sinister monster.
Then suddenly, the cat comes near him and scratches his leg with its sharp claws as a bat simultaneously bites him, leaving a scar on his neck. Victor suddenly begins to feel very badly. Suddenly, his teeth start becoming pointed and his finger and toenails begin growing.
What's happening to me? Maybe I should go home early today.
As Victor rushes to his house, his entire appearance has changed, and he discovers that he has transformed into a hideous, terrible Dracula. Suddenly, he feels an insatiable thirst for blood. He cannot control himself, and he drinks his wife's blood. But his thirst is still unquenched, so he also drinks the blood of his 3 innocent children. Dracula's terror in the town increases so much that people stop leaving their homes. Then, one night, Victor the Dracula writes on a hill with his own blood.
I will come again after 100 years.
After writing this message, he disappears into the dark and gloomy confines of his house.
Wow, what a dumb story.
Yes, it is! Now, it's not known whether it's real or not, but word around town is that now 100 years have passed and Dracula could wake up any time.
Come on, Julie. Enough of these scary stories. It's too late to talk of such things. I'll see you again tomorrow, at the same time.
On the same night, the terror of bats again takes place in the small town. Angry squeaking from the bats, and in the midst of all this pain and chaos, Dracula's eyes open. The next evening, when Jack was leaving his house to meet Julie, Harry stops him.
Bro, you hardly spend any time with us because you're always with Julie. Today, why don't you just stay home and play with us here? I want to spend time with Julie. You guys do your own thing and leave me alone, understand? Okay, fine. So, why don't you just go live in that creepy shack of a house with Julie?
Jack is waiting for Julie at the same house as before.
It's taking way too long, and there's still no trace of Julie yet. I wonder what the holdup is.
Then he noticed a door that had some blood on it. Jack finds that strange. all of a sudden, pitch black bats start flying over the house.
Whoa, this door leads to the Dracula's dungeon. But whose blood could this possibly be?
Jack slowly and cautiously made his way down the staircase and entered the dungeon. He peered warily around and saw 2 glittering eyes. These eyes approached him, and he soon realizes it's nothing but a cat. As Jack turned, he saw Julie's body hanging, with her blood dripping rhythmically to the dungeon's cold, hard floor.
Julie, what happened to you?
Jack is shocked at Julie's death. Then he suddenly hears the sound of footsteps behind him. When he looks back fearfully, a terrible Dracula stands behind him. As Jack tries frantically to escape, Dracula flies to him and sinks his razor-sharp fangs into Jack's neck, drinking his blood in the process. It's not long before Jack has also died a horrible death. Jack's mother, Jenny, is waiting for him, and she is very worried. Harry? Kevin? Where's your brother? Do you know what time it is?
Mom, Jack spends pretty much all day, every day, with Julie. I bet right this minute now that he's probably still with her.
But this is the day when storms break loose from the foreboding skies and the whole town is engulfed with a plague of bats. Jack's grandmother is greatly frightened.
Looks like Dracula is back. He said that he would return, and that when he did, he'd be sure to drain each and every person of their life source.
What? What are you talking about, Mother? It hasn't been 100 years yet. Suddenly, Jack's mother falls silent as her gaze wanders slowly over to the calendar. It has been 100 years since Victor's incident. Where is Jack? Why hasn't he come home yet?
I told him not to come home. I was awful to him. The 2 used to meet daily in the old house near the forest, and I gave them a hard time about it. I was being so stupid.
What? That house belonged to Victor.
Everyone is running around in fear of their lives as Dracula's terror reigns over the poor town. Harry, realizing that his brother Jack didn't come home because of him, goes to the old house to find his brother Jack.
Jack, dude, listen. I'm sorry for whatever I said earlier. Can you please come home? Where are you, brother? Can you forgive me?
Then a beam of light comes from a bat's eyes as it senses Harry's presence. Dracula sees Harry. Dracula looks at Harry with a gleam of hunger and instantly starts trying to figure out a way to add Harry's blood to his menu for the night. He subdues the bats, and they fly outside and follow Harry. Harry runs to attempt to avoid them and ends up entering that same dreaded house, leading straight to the dungeon. He sees blood all around him. His heartbeat quickens, and he can't seem to catch his breath, for it is in this very moment he stumbles upon Julie and Jack's corpses.
Brother.
Dracula appears in front of him and he screams loudly. Dracula is approaching him. Then, at the same time, Jenny shows up unexpectedly. She's looking for Jack and Harry as well. She puts her cross, which is in her locket, on Dracula's forehead, and Dracula shudders with pain. But before he gasps his last, he sinks his teeth into Harry's neck before he dies. Jenny frees Harry from the Dracula's grip, and then Dracula transforms and flies away as a flock of sinister bats. Harry, are you all right?
Yes, I'm fine, Mom. But Jack and Julie...
Both Jenny and Harry start crying from the loss of Jack and Julie. The next day, Harry is resting on the bed when he suddenly starts feeling strange. He opens his eyes and studies his reflection in a mirror. Harry's teeth start to turn fang-like. And at that moment, his younger brother Kevin enters. Harry started leering at him greedily. Just one look at his brother caused him to desire to consume his blood. Harry then swoops on him and begins drinking Kevin's blood. Once full, Harry jumped out of the bedroom window and returned to the same old and decrepit house. And once again, a new Dracula resides there to terrorize the village of Solemn. The end.